Carlsbad Caverns National Park is a pretty awesome place, and I want to share a little bit about our family's experience there. So Carlsbad Caverns National Park is located right on the New Mexico-Texas border in the very, very southern tip of New Mexico. It's not far from Guadalupe Mountains National Park, which we had just visited while we were down in the area. Our family is currently on a 2.5-week road trip from Alabama. We drove out west. We went through Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma City, and then down through Amarillo, down to White Sands National Park, stopped in El Paso up to Guadalupe Mountains, and spent about 3 days in Guadalupe Mountains National Park and Carlsbad Caverns National Park. We spent 1 day in Carlsbad Caverns, and really this park is one thing. It's the caverns. There's multiple caves, multiple entrances to some smaller caves, but the big main area is a really cool place. I would rate it right there with going to see the Grand Canyon. But I will say, once I've been, I don't really have a huge desire to go back. Carlsbad Caverns, I would put in the same boat. You need to go there. You need to see it. Now, would I try to go back there and do it again? Only under special circumstances. Once you go through the room and once you've seen the cave, I feel like you've kind of seen it. It's a great experience. The kids loved it. They've been in some other caves, but they thought it was the coolest thing that they'd done. So go do it. Make time to make it happen. It's an awesome experience. All right, so a few details about this cave that make it a little bit different than some of the other caves. We've done Mammoth Cave National Park. We've been to Wind Cave National Park. The problem with Wind Cave when we went was the cave was actually closed. We went, and the elevator that brings you back up from the cave floor was broken down for some reason, and we were unable to go into the cave. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is great. We've been to some state park caves. We've been to some caverns. I've been to some caverns overseas in some different countries. But compared to all of those, Carlsbad Caverns is really cool. The Big Room is what it's called. It's the largest chamber in North America. So it's a huge space. I remember there's one place that you're going in and you're walking through and you're looking down into this hole and up. And I think looking down was like 300 or 400 feet down and up was like 700 feet, all underground. And you're in the middle looking both directions, and you just see how vast and large it is under there. They do have it lit up. There are lights, and there's a paved pathway getting in to get around walking down into the cave. So to start off with, the main way to get into the cave is a natural entrance. It weaves down and down and down, and it goes down about 750 feet. Lots of switchbacks. You look at it going in, and you're like, oh, that's not too bad. And you get down there and you realize you have to turn and go under the ground, and it just continues going down and down and down. It really is not that bad. The hike down is all paved. It's really accessible, but it was really cool to be able to walk down into the cave. So the kids, just as we went deeper and deeper, you go in and it's this big opening. And then as you get deeper and deeper, you get down into the dark part of the cave, and then you turn and go under where you came in, and it's dark. There's no light coming in from the outside. There are lights in the cave, but they're very dim. You can feel the temperature drop. The cave is in the middle of the desert. I mean, it's out in the Chihuahuan Desert. We were there late March, so it wasn't that hot, but it was probably 85 or so on the surface when we went in. And down in the cave, I think it was 56 degrees. Perfect temperature. Wasn't cold, but it wasn't hot. It felt great. All right, to start with, to get into the cave, you have to have a reservation. The reservation system basically blocks off hours in the day and allows so many people into the cave. There's not a limit of time to stay in until it closes. So there's just for entrance, they have a timed entry program that you have to have a reservation. So to make your reservation, it's $1 per person on recreation.gov. You can go on there and reserve your time slot. And then when you want to go into the park, when you arrive, you show your reservation, and there you can purchase your tickets. The ticket costs are per person. And I will be honest, I don't remember how much it cost, because there's one important thing. National Park Pass. Okay, so if you have a National Park Pass, or if you don't have a National Park Pass, you should, if you plan on visiting more than 2 national parks that cost to get in or have any fees. This is called the America the Beautiful Pass. This gets you into any national park or national park site that has entry fees. It also covers some other recreational areas like national forest recreation areas and things like that. It's yearly, and it's pretty easy to get. So it's $80. And when you get to any national park or park site, you can go, instead of paying the entry fee, they have an interagency pass is what they call it. So it's $80 for 1 year. And if you look at some of the parks, they range in price, but I know there's some that are like $30 to $40 for a week of entry for your vehicle. So this covers everybody in the car, and it covers the vehicle entry for that time period. So if you were to pay $40 or $30 even for one park, and then go to another park on the same trip, or go to another park anytime that year, basically by the time you've done two, unless they're smaller and just a lot cheaper, basically by the time you've done two of them, you could have bought this. We were going to multiple sites. I think we went to 5 national parks. One didn't have entry fees, but we went to some other national park sites that had some entry fees. And so it would have been $150 to $200 for all the fees that we would have had to pay, because Carlsbad Caverns actually charges per person to go into the cave, but the entry with a pass is free. You don't have to pay anything else. This is included with the pass. So the cost at Carlsbad Caverns is per person, and the pass got us there. There are multiple different kinds of passes. America the Beautiful Pass is just a general pass for everyone to buy. It's $80 per year. Not per person, but per family or per car. There's other passes. I know my parents have the senior pass that they bought one time and it's lifetime. There's a military pass, there's a disability pass, and there's a few others also that I'm not sure the details, but you can look it up on usparkpass.com. You can order it if you want to do that before you go, but I prefer getting it at the first park that I go into, because they mark it from 1 year from the month of purchase. And so mine's marked for August of this year. So it gets you into over 2,000 federal sites that have fees. It doesn't cover like tours or extra things that you might do in the park outside of the entry fees. Carlsbad Caverns was not a tour. It was a self-led hike in. There are some tours they offer that cost, but it does cover your entry fee, which is a huge deal. So I recommend, if you're going to go to more than 2 national parks in a year, get the National Park Pass. All right, so getting into Carlsbad Caverns, you go through White City. Carlsbad Caverns is the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert. When you're up on top, on the surface, it's just desert. You have no clue that there's this massive cave under the ground. It's about 7 miles from White City, where you turn off the highway to go into where the visitor center is. The visitor center is right there. You go in, you get your ticket, and you exit the visitor center out the backside, and there is the huge natural opening. The ranger has people go in groups, and so they'll give you some rules and regulations and stuff that you can and can't do, but they'll get you ready to go pretty quickly. You walk in and you go down to the switchbacks. It's 750 feet-ish elevation change going down. It's all paved. There are lights that show off different structures and different stalactites, stalagmites, columns, and other formations in the cave. So it allows you to be able to see. One thing that was different for me going into Carlsbad that was unique from some other caves that I've been to is many other caves that I've gone in, they don't allow you to have any light. So Carlsbad is fine with you having a flashlight, a headlamp, using your phone, whatever, flash photography if you want to. They're fine with all that. They just don't want you shining it at other people's faces, and obviously being respectful of other people that are in the cave, but they don't mind lights. Lights are fine, which make taking photo and video a lot easier than in pitch black. So once you get down to the bottom, you kind of weave your way through the different areas of cave structures and other elements that are in the cave and different features. And then you get to the big room, which, like I said, the big room is the largest cavern in North America, one single space. Once you get down there, there's an option to, it's a big loop trail, basically it goes around the outside of it. You can cut across the middle and go over to where the elevator is that takes you back up, or you can take the big loop. If you're going there, you've got to take the big loop. That's why you're there, is to see the cave. The big room was so cool to walk around. We took our time, weaved our way through, and spent time checking out the different cave structures and the different features that are there, and there's names and there's information spots that you can stop and see some different things that make that cave unique. So when you go, make sure to take your time and don't rush through. Take your time and check out all the stuff that's in the big room. So once you finish the big room, you go down to where the elevator is. There's actually bathrooms, a snack bar, and a souvenir shop down there underground in the cave, which was super kind of weird to me, but it's there. It's been there forever. And so they have that stuff down there. They do have bathrooms, which is nice. And then you take the elevator back up, back right to the middle of the visitor center. Yeah, so the reason you go is the cave. I mean, the cave is the attraction. The park is actually pretty good size, but most of the surface stuff is just desert. It protects the area, mostly underground there. When we left, we did see some wild sheep along the dried up riverbed, and that was cool to see some wildlife out in the middle of the desert. But for the most part, you go for the cavern. All in all, Carlsbad Caverns was an amazing park for us. We loved it. The kids said that that was one of their favorites. They said White Sands was their favorite and Carlsbad was like number 2, which really surprised me because they've been to some other massive parks that have so much other stuff. But those 2 parks, they loved them, and they loved walking around the cave. So Carlsbad Caverns is something I would definitely say you need to see in your lifetime. It really just has the one thing, but that one thing, the caverns, is really amazing, and it's totally worth the visit. So our family has traveled all over the world and all over the US, and we love sharing our travels and sharing our journey. So if any of the information in this video has been helpful or given you some ideas on things that your family might be able to do, would you please like the video and also subscribe to the channel? We're traveling all the time, and we love sharing our journey, and we would love it if you would follow along.